Suppose firstly just to say good afternoon and welcome to everybody. It's good to see people rejoining us again as a continuation of the Future Proof Your Business webinar series that the LOETB have brought to you. Something I suppose like a lot of things over the last year started a number of months ago as kind of a temporary thing and became, quite successful. And, I think some keynote speakers brought to you over the past few months and backed up by a local case study, which really puts real meat on the bones of what our keynote speakers have been bringing to you. That trend is continuing today, and we're going to follow the same tried and tested format. So today's guest speakers are Pedro Angulo. Pedro is Head of Leadership Development in AIB and has been President and Chairperson of the European Mentoring and Coaching Council in previous years too. His bio is much longer than that, but we'll let him get through that a little bit later in the presentation. We're also joined by Jennifer Murphy, and Jennifer is Head of Human Resources and Compliance at the Heritage Hotel. So again, getting that local perspective on it. The topic for today is leadership, developing modern leaders in a changing environment. Kind of goes without saying really, but I think now at this particular time, it's such an important topic because there's so much theory, there's so much kind of talking, pontification, call it what you like about leadership, but really it's time for leadership to stand up because, the way we work has changed forever. Expectations from employees maybe on what works looks like, even from the point of view of recruitment, and I'm sure Jennifer will touch on that later on. So many sectors are facing challenges in how to go about recruiting people and indeed retaining people as well. So leadership now more than ever is if you want to basically build an organization that's going to sustain itself and be competitive and succeed, it really is all about leadership. So very timely on this. Usual format as well. Pedro is going to start off as the first speaker. I'll invite any questions you have through the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We will put questions then to each speaker then, and we'll put a few extra ones to them as well if there's anything else you'd like to touch upon. Towards the end of the webinar then, I'll invite both speakers back on. We can put some further questions to them then. So use the Q&A function, use the chat function. It's there, it's available to you, and we're happy to put the questions to the participants. But to begin, I'm going to invite Aidan Poole from the LOETB to come on just to give us a quick overview of some of the fantastic work that the organisation is doing. Aidan, you're very welcome.
Perfect. Thanks a million, Ronan. I just share my screen here. So I suppose, Ronan mentioned where we started with Future Proof Your Business webinars, and it really is, I suppose, a support to enterprises in our region. And within our team, I just have up on screen, we have apprenticeship service, traineeship and skills to advance. But ultimately, each of these services, I suppose, function to support enterprise through training. I'm just going to move to the next slide. So these are kind of our upcoming courses that we have been advertising and recruiting for over the last couple of weeks. And I suppose what we're doing today really is just to kind of showcase some of these services, but also through the Future Proof Your Business. And each of these courses kind of aim to do that. So we have them split into the three kind of areas we're looking at when you think of future proofing your business, which is around the digital, your business strengths, and also the green agenda. So what I'm going to do is just pop a link into the chat function where you can apply for any of these courses if you're interested. And if you're not watching live, you can see this link on our LinkedIn and our Facebook page, and you'll be able to access that information afterwards. But just from ourselves, I just want to say thanks to everyone, our continuous joiners, every webinar we've had, and a huge thanks to both our keynote speaker and our case study, because without them, the webinars wouldn't be where they are today. So thanks a million, and just hope that everyone enjoys today. Thanks, Ronan.
Thank you, Aidan. And as Aidan said, the webinar, it is being recorded. As usual, it'll only be the panelists or the speakers whose face appears on the screen at any stage as well. And the recording of the webinar will be available later on today as well, there for you to share and look back on. And yes, those links will be available to the LinkedIn and the various social media channels for the course. So without further ado, I'd like to formally introduce our first speaker. As mentioned, Pedro Angulo is Head of Leadership Development at AIB. And where in that role, he leads the design and implementation of enterprise-wide leadership development initiatives. He's also Programme Director on the Diploma in Strategic Human Resource Management at the Irish Management Institute. And as mentioned, for many years, he's been past president and a chairperson of the European Mentoring and Coaching Council in Ireland. Pedro's passion for leadership and indeed his various roles will come through, I know that for a fact, in his presentation now. So Pedro, I'd like to hand over to you, and very much looking forward to your presentation.
Ronan, thank you very much, and hello everyone, and thanks for having me here. The way I like to introduce myself is that I am a Spanish man with a twist, and the twist is that my wife is a Cork woman, so don't hold that against me, okay? Just to say, look, thank you so much for having me here. The sole purpose of my presentation is to give you a few ideas, a few thoughts that hopefully resonate with you. And again, the main thing is that hopefully there is one thing that resonates with you, that you can take away from this session, that you can put into practice, and that it will help you becoming an even more effective leader, or it will help you with your business to be even more successful. So again, what I would ask you to do is look out for maybe one golden nugget, one key takeaway that you're gonna take away, you're gonna put into practice, and hopefully it's gonna give you some benefit to you as a leader. That's the sole purpose of this session. So hopefully you enjoy it. I want to start by saying that for me, leaders grow leaders. So if you have people in your business who are hoarding talent, who are not developing other people, they are not leaders. The leaders I consider leaders is everyone in the business, but they're those people that are not selfish, that they're not all about themselves, but they are about others, about helping others achieve their dreams and their ambitions. So when I look at leadership, I look at three levels: leading self. So how do you show up as a person? What is the shadow that you cast as a leader? What's the impact that you have on others? How do you manage yourself? The next level is how do you lead others? So lead self, lead others, and then is how do you lead the enterprise? So it's not about me as head of HR or leadership making sure that HR is successful. It's about making sure that the organization is successful. So anyway, I'll share a few things with you, and then I'd love to take some questions and answers. And I'll just start by saying is that COVID has been very tough on people. And that if you look at the statistics from the CSO, COVID has impacted both men and women in quite a negative way in some cases in terms of our health, not just our physical health, but also our mental health. Sadly, women are being impacted even more negatively than men. What the CSO has found is that we're starting to drink more, to eat more, to have more feelings of anxiety. The whole point of showing this is that it is now more important than ever to mind ourselves and to be the best that we can be for ourselves. So taking time to re-energize, to mind ourselves, and to make sure that we are the best that we can be for ourselves. Why? Because if you're not the best that you can be, then you cannot be the best that you can be for others. So everything starts with us. And there is a great book there that I would recommend, which is called The 4-Pillar Plan by Dr. Ryan Chatterjee. One of the best books in terms of minding yourself and being at your best. And also there is a good Harvard Business Review article called The Corporate Athlete, if this is an area that you are interested in. When I look at things to be at your best, these are my top 10 tips, okay? The first one is we need to eat and sleep properly. And I know that sounds simple, but it works. I used to think, I love pasta, I love cheese, I love Spanish red wine. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with eating some of that stuff, but too much of a good thing is not a good thing. So what I would say to you is, look, be very mindful of what you eat. Eat good food, fresh food, natural food. Lower your alcohol consumption, drink more water. The basics work. Keep it simple. The simple things work. The next thing is laugh, and remember the laughs. Sometimes at work we take it too seriously and we leave the human person behind the door. Laugh. Laughter therapy. There's studies that have proved that laughter therapy can help people with chronic pain get a whole hour of undisturbed sleep at night. And this is people with chronic pain. So laughter is good for us, is good for our mental health, and it's lovely to be with people that laugh. But by the way, I'll give you an even more interesting statistic. Laughing makes you look more sexy to the opposite sex. So there we go. If you didn't think that laughter was a good thing, there we go. I'll give you a couple of things to think about. Think of things that we are grateful for. We have so many things that we should be grateful for. Write it down. Start a gratitude logbook. Another thing is do things you love. What do you love? Make sure that you spend time doing some things that you love. When we do things that we love, that builds our energy and makes us feel better. Avoid negative people. That's the best probably advice that I can give you. Stay away from negative people and negative news. So make friends with optimists, people that are always looking for ways to be better, to improve, to look at a positive perspective of things. Volunteer, doing good for society is good for you. And what I would say is more important now than ever, focus on those things that we can control and influence. I cannot change the COVID cases. I cannot change the effectiveness of the vaccine rollout, but there are things that I can control. And that's the people I surround with, what I eat, what I sleep, what I focus my attention on, and what are the relationships that I keep close to and that I mine and that I grow and that I protect. So there are a few thoughts. The second thing is be very, very careful of your biases and the impact that we have. In my town, we had 3 people, the priest, the bank manager, and the teacher. And if any of those people didn't like you, you were in trouble. And by the way, 2 of those people didn't like me, so I had to leave the town. But the important thing here is that I used to live in a place where the norms didn't allow to change. It didn't allow for newness. Let's make sure that when you are running a business, the norms that have set in are not preventing the enterprise from changing, from rejuvenating, from allowing people with new ideas to come up and to welcome those new ideas, to capture those new ideas, to nurture those new ideas, as opposed to resist those ideas and push them away. So be careful for our biases as well as the impact of our behavior. The next thing I would say to you is, it is critical now more than ever that we are brave. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and that we are brave and surround ourselves with supportive people. One of the people there is my mom. My mom was the first person in a little town in the north of Spain that was a businesswoman, and that means working outside the home. She was making at the time more money than any man in the town. And you will be wondering, God, fair play to her, what a brave woman, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Just to give you an interesting story, my mother used to be called by some of the men in the town Maggie Thatcher. The Iron Lady, and by the way, that was not a compliment. Now, she had to be brave to put up with that and to say, no, I'm going to try to be who I want to be, and I want to be a businesswoman. I want to make a living that way. But it took my father to be brave and support her on that journey. So be brave, but surround yourself with people that allow you, that support you to achieve your dreams and your ambitions. Mindset is everything. Do you have a growth mindset? Let me tell you, I have 2 teenagers, but I have 4, but let me concentrate on 2. They play rugby, and one of them is 6'4". He's got the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's got the perfect body to go to the beach and walk there, and all the ladies will be looking at him. I don't know who the father is, by the way. He certainly doesn't look like me at all, but he's got the perfect body. He's got a 10-pack. He's tall. He's strong. He's got the perfect rugby body. But he doesn't want to play. He's not interested really in it. But then I have the second guy. The second guy is playing rugby, and he comes out of the pitch and he says, Dad, how did I do? I said, oh, Harry, you were brilliant. You play so great. And he says, Dad, cut the crap. How did I really do? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, how many tackles did I do? Well, you did about 10 tackles. How many did I do the last game? 15 tackles. That's not good, is it? I suppose not. That how many proactive tackles did I do when you tackle and push the opposition backwards? Well, you didn't do any today. How many did I do the last game? Well, you did about 3 or 4. That this has not been a good game. And what a lesson on growth mindset. Growth mindsets are people that look for feedback, that cherish feedback, that look at feedback as an opportunity to grow, to develop, that are always looking for improvement, that they're not stuck in the past, that they're always trying to be the best that they can be. Now, imagine if you put the mindset of the second guy who has my kind of body and my size on the body of the first kid, then you get a rugby international. I might have to go again and have another child. They say 3rd time lucky. If I can get both together, I get an Irish international. Anyway, mind your mindset. Mindset is everything. And the second thing is the picture of my granny. My granny used to say that the only reason why she married my grandfather was because he kept asking her. Now, I think nowadays that story probably sounds like sexual harassment. But anyway, let's forget about that. That's a different program. In the context of this program, the message here is that if you really, really want something, you have to go and get it. Watching Netflix, as I tell my kids, doesn't achieve, because it's not going to get you a job. If you want something, you really, really have to put your mind, your undivided attention, and go and get it. So what happens when you get a no? Well, don't throw the towel. What do? Take no as feedback. No is feedback. So, okay, no. So what's the question? What do I need to do next time so that I get that sale, so that I get that deal, so that I get that opportunity? No is feedback. Let's get used to take no and work with it and take the feedback so that we can get a yes answer the next time. The next thing is Life is good. We are doing good things. It's not about radical changes. New Year's resolutions don't work. No kebabs, no real Coke, no sugar. Gee, it looks the willingness to live. What works is incremental, sustainable 1% gains. So look at how good are you in your life, in your job, in your business. Cherish those things that you are good at. Protect them. And then what do? You look for a 1% incremental, sustainable gain to get you to the next level. Watch out your habits and your attitude. There are a lot of habits that we have that might not be very good. I used to come, in the old days, I used to come home, you are tired, you sit in the lounger, you put the telly, you start, now you feel peckish, so you get the manchego cheese, then you get thirsty, then you get the glass of wine. And you know what they say in Ireland, you cannot put the wine away because it goes off for the following day. So you finish having the whole bottle and a lot of cheese, and let's say that's not good, okay? So instead of doing that now, what I do is I used to go knock at the door, get the kids, go for a walk, play a bit of football. Suddenly, instead of sitting at home, eating too much cheese, drinking too much wine, which is not a good habit, I was walking, I was connecting with my kids, I was doing a bit of sports, and everybody was winning as a result. Watch out those habits, and if you need to change them for better habits. And the other thing I would say to you is, if you look at the mood elevator, the way we think makes us feel in a particular way, and the way we feel impacts our behavior. So always check in with your behavior and your mood. How am I feeling right now? And if you're going to make a big decision, or if you're going to do something, make sure that you are in the right mood state. And that's the mood in the right-hand side of that picture on the mood map. And ask yourself every day, check with yourself, where do I spend my time today? In what part of the quadrants? What triggers me to go to the left? What triggers me to go to the right? What helps me to be in one or the other? How can I make sure that I stay on the right-hand side as much as possible? And that's just a little tool to help you with that. Look, life is very complex. Make sure that you identify what are the main missions in your life. Make sure you write them down. Is it your family? Is it your friends? Is it your work? Whatever they are, make sure you get that wheel and scale yourself against from 0 to 10. How good is that part of your life at the moment? And make sure that you are trending against those parts of your life in a way that you are putting the right attention and the right time on those things that really matter to you. The moment that we take our eye off the ball of something that is really important to us for too long, the likelihood is that our life becomes imbalanced and not as effective or as happy as it should be. So make sure that you find out, what is important to you. Make sure that you scale yourself against how good that is, and then make sure that you look for incremental gains in a way that you have a balanced life and that balance works for you. Finally, a couple of thoughts. Make sure that you connect with your personal purpose. Life is not about being busy. It's about being busy doing things that mean something for you. If you want to connect with your personal purpose, do something which is called the Ikigai. So if you Google Ikigai, Ikigai is about the reason for being in Japanese. And there's a lot of things that will help you to find out your personal purpose around the things that you love, that give you meaning, that makes you get out of bed happy. It's about connecting with those things that really give you meaning. And the next thought is think about those things that give you flow, that make you lose track of time. Look out for flow moments during the day. And there is a great TED talk by a guy called Mihaly, I can't pronounce his last name, he's down there, which is called about flow, the secret to happiness. So look for flow moments and connect with your personal purpose. And finally, a formula. Your performance is a function of your potential minus your interferences. Our main interferences are actually our self-limiting beliefs. So make sure that your self-limiting beliefs are not getting in the way of you achieving your potential. So just to summarize, I would just say, look, thank you so much for having me here. I will share the slides with you. Connect with me in LinkedIn. If you have any questions after this, just reach out to me and I'll be delighted to help you in any way I can. The one call to action that I would say to you is that, look, don't let this become another one of those sessions that you walk away and you say, yeah, it was all right, or it was good, or it was very good, or whatever it was. More importantly, pick out that one golden nugget, that one thing that one thing that you are going to work for the next 90 days, and you are going to dedicate not 90 minutes of your attention every day, but maybe 30 minutes every day to work on, and you're going to give it your undivided attention. And I would suggest that that is what gives you peak performance as opposed to vanilla performance. Pick one thing, meaningful thing, narrow the scope, 90 days, 30 minutes every day, and that's what gives you that peak performance, and it will help you to be more successful. And listen, don't wait until next week. Start now, and don't wait for other people to make you happy or for other people to improve your life. It all starts with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pedro. Very interesting. And I'm going to throw you a nice handy opening question. You spoke a lot there. You alluded towards things like personal purpose and, you know, about finding things you love. And as the saying goes, like, find a job you love and you won't work a day in your life. Yeah. How many people, based on your own experience, how many people are actually in a job that they would class that they love it? And therefore, as a leader then, how do you go about, you know, making somebody happier in the workplace and more committed, and indeed that they're going to perform better?
So good question, Roland. The first thing is that there's no such a thing as the perfect job. And if you have it, talk to me, because I haven't found anybody with the perfect job. So I look for the Pareto analysis. As long as you are 80% happy with the work that you do, that is success. So that's brilliant. Protect that. And then what you do with the other 20% is look for opportunities outside work to complement that happiness, those moments of doing things that you love. So, for example, you said at the beginning that I'm involved in the European Mentoring and Coaching Council. The reason for that is that my passion in life is to help others be the best that they can be. And I get great energy by developing others. So working with the European Mentoring and Coaching Council, that gives me the opportunity to do something that sometimes I don't get the chance to do at work. And it's for a good cause, and it's a social cause. So I get the double whammy. On top of that, I'm doing work with an organization called Green South Ireland, protecting ecosystems, protecting wild acres of land across Ireland. So what I would say to you is, look at things that you can do at work that will give you meaning, that will make you happy. And by the way, there are things that you have to do at work that just a pain in the neck, but they have to be done. And that's okay too. Accept it and get on with it and do them quickly so you have time to do good things that you love. But then look for other opportunities outside work that will complement you as a professional, and that would make you have a more meaningful professional career.
I think a very valid point as well. As you said, like there are going to be always tasks that maybe you're not overly motivated to, but if you can just maybe get them done and get them out and find that other thing as well can be so important for people. But I suppose the times we're in, and in your role in AIB, and I suppose also when you joined that organization, you know, banks in this country have gone through a huge period of transition as well. You know, a lot of people who maybe started out early in their career in the banks have since left, you know, replaced by probably an entirely different management and leadership style. So what kind of efforts did you make within AIB? I suppose, number one, to get over that initial thing, kind of post-recession, and how then is AIB responding to what's been thrust upon every organization lately?
So I think, you know, when we were hit with COVID, I mean, like any business, our priority is to make sure that our people and our customers are safe. So we have put a lot of effort at helping people, first be physically well, but then also mentally well. So we are actually trying to help our people, encourage our people to take care of their physical and mental well-being. So we have introduced programs, we have introduced initiatives, we have introduced the right to disconnect, with a view to help people take time to mind themselves. We strongly feel that when you feel okay, you're more likely to deliver a better customer experience. You're better to deliver a better impact on other people. So that's the first thing that we're doing. We're asking people to mind themselves. The second thing that we are doing is we're putting a lot of emphasis on our programs on leadership around the impact that us as leaders have on our people. If you look at the impact that we as leaders have on the resilience of our people, on the stress levels of our people, on the performance, the engagement, the number one factor is us as the leader. People leave people, they don't leave organizations. And I know it sounds a bit tough, but this is the moment where great leaders really shine through, because at tough times, the leaders that really mind their people, that are there for their people, that show respect for their people, that show compassion for their people, they're the leaders that will shine and will come out of this recession in a better way. So we're just trying to help people, to our leaders, to first mind themselves and then start mind their teams as well. That's the emphasis at the moment.
And for business owners, as you know, maybe some of them are possibly only reopened again since yesterday, and as we move forward now, you know, employees' expectations of maybe how they work, maybe when they work, could be drastically changed. You know, again, through no direct fault of the organisation. So how do organisations go about addressing that? Like, if you've got somebody coming to you saying, "Oh, we've now got the right to disconnect," or "I want to work these particular days. I want to work from home Mondays and Fridays." They're now setting the agenda to how do companies look at leveraging maybe all the gains that we've had from a business perspective over the last year without kind of, I suppose, just reverting back to the old model of everybody's into the office so I can just keep a close eye on everybody?
I think this is going to be a very interesting time, and I think it's going to be probably even more testing than actually when we had to get out of the office, because bringing people back to the office now, there's huge amount of anxiety, there's amount of stress, uncertainty, so it's not going to be easy. I think that I would suggest that people could do is look at the different employee profiles that you have in your organization. There are people that will be pretty happy to work from home, and you actually might not need them back in the office. So allow them to continue as is. Why would you change something that is working for both you as an organization and the individual? On the other hand, you might have people that are actually really struggling working at home, and they need that social interaction. So obviously make it easy for them to come back to the office. I suppose different people will require different things, and equally the business will need certain things. So it's about matching the needs of the business with the needs of individuals in a way that shows that you have thought about it and that you care about it. But you know, let's be honest. Like, if we say to people, look, you can come to the office only 2 days out of 5 days, and everybody decides to come on the same day, that will create serious pressure on us as an employer, because it'd be difficult to get social distancing, it'd be difficult to maintain all of that stuff. So again, depending on your business, look at the business requirements, because obviously, you know, the business has to work, and then look at how can you accommodate to make sure that the people stuff also works in the context of the business needs, and that you show that you have considered that people's needs are different and that you have treated them in a respectful way.
And of course, a lot of folks will have to go maybe on, if you've got somebody who's working from home and who's, you know, maybe can show it, or maybe they have a belief that they're actually more productive in 4 days than somebody in the office in 5, kind of mitigating that could be challenging for SMEs in particular. Yeah,
look, I think it's very interesting. I think this whole thing has proven that people can work remotely, not everywhere, right? And that they can be equally as productive, if no more. So for me now as an employer, it's about showing people that you trust them, that you respect them, and treat them like adults. I think you get what you do, you get what you reward, you get how you lead. So, you know, I think we have a great opportunity as leaders to really show that we trust people, that we care about people. And I must honestly say, any time that I have shown that I have backed one of the people in my team, most people, 9 out of 10 people, will respond the right way, and you will reap the benefits as a result. But I think as we return to the new normal, I think that the role of the leader is going to be critical, and our ability to listen, our ability to empathize, and our ability to match the business requirements with the employee requirements is not going to be easy. It's going to be tough, and I think that's where the key thing is about making those two key things work properly. If you go too much on the business side, people won't probably respond the way you expect them to, and if you go too much on the people side, obviously the business will suffer. We have to get a place where both work. There is something lovely at the moment that I'm seeing more and more on Irish business that we call the 3 Ps. You know, people, what is it? People, profit, and planet. And about how can we come together in a way that as businesses you can still make money, but you can still be good to people, to social causes, to the environments, and creating that ecosystem where as businesses, it's not just about making money, but it is about having a positive impact on people, on our communities, and the environment in which we live. So anyway, that's where I see it as being the key piece.
Absolutely. Thanks a million, Pedro. Of course, like even on things like the carbon decarbonisation, like there's going to be financial non-reporting coming in time as well. So it's not just going to be a notional thing; it's going to be an actual legal requirement. And I guess it's having your team, ready for that and making those commitments. But thanks a million, Pedro. We'll get you to stay with us as well, and we'll come back with some more questions towards the end of this. Time to move on now. And of course, like we do, we try to back these up with a local case study. And delighted now to introduce Jennifer Murphy. Jennifer is Head of Human Resources and Compliance at the Heritage. I'd say many of you are very familiar with the fantastic Heritage and the service that it provides. And Jennifer will give an interesting insight into this because, again, in a sector that has faced its own challenges over the last year, and there's a lot of talk about recruitment challenges and maybe a loss of talent to other industries as people became frustrated maybe with lockdowns and government guidance and all, and maybe unfortunately couldn't wait around for hotels to be given the all clear. So delighted to introduce Jennifer. And Jennifer, you can start now. If you have slides, you can share them, and if not, we'll come back to you as well with a few questions at the end of your talk. Thank you.
Sure, Ronan, thank you so much. And firstly, thank you very much for having me here. It's a lovely opportunity to virtually meet everybody and just, I suppose, give a bit of insight from a local business and how we're managing the whole talent management piece since the COVID has interrupted our business operations. I suppose just to give a little bit of background on myself, my own journey in hospitality started almost a decade ago, and prior to that then I was in HR in both retail and manufacturing sectors. My role here at the Heritage encompasses everything people related, but my focus is primarily on strategic talent management, because it's obviously the future that we want to future-proof for our business, and that's where the talent management is core of that part of that strategy. So I work with a wonderful team of professionals here at the Heritage. We have a really clear vision and strategy for the organisation and for the future of the property. And our own mission, if I could just share that with you very briefly, is to provide a sustainable local employment, investing in people and delivering our customer service, the finest service and quality. So I suppose just to give you a little bit of background on the property and the journey that the hotel itself is on. So the hotel was originally built in the heyday of the Celtic Tiger and enjoyed I suppose, all of the lavish trappings of that era. But unfortunately, like many properties, it suffered then at the hands of the original recession back in 2009, 2010. And as a result of that, the property did change hands several times, which impacted heavily on, I suppose, the maintenance of the building, and it caused a lot of issues in terms of people retention and making sure that the customer was looked after. So FBD then purchased the property just over 2 years ago, and so thus far have invested over €4 million in the product. So there's been a massive redevelopment of certain areas, the spa, the health club, and then more recently the bedrooms. So our Blake's restaurant would have received an extensive facelift, and we've done a lot there with the property. But apart from that, I suppose key for us now is the development of our people. So investment in people is key for FBD, but particularly for us here at the Heritage, it's imperative now that we focus on the future and we re-emerge from this crisis in a positive position. So I suppose how we intend to do that is by harnessing the best of our current talent pool and utilising our own knowledge, and some of our research-based evidence would back that it's important to attract the right candidates in and ensure that you're offering them an opportunity to grow and develop in an organisation that's suited to their own career goals. So it's something that we're very proud of. We want to kind of create. We're working on it in the background at the moment, so it's very new, but we're working on creating a development program for the future next generation leaders, so that we can look after those people, develop them, and that we leave our property then in a better place for the next generation who will come on board. And we're very proud of this. We're really, really proud of what we're doing here with our people. Oftentimes I've been asked as HR, what do you look for when you're recruiting, hiring people for leadership positions? And I suppose we could look at, you know, the typical things that you look for in any leadership role. You're looking for someone with honesty, integrity, passion, commitment, good communication skills, the decision-making capabilities. These are all very much, I suppose, the important attributes of a candidate who is coming forward for a leadership position. But we look for more than that in the heritage. We want to take it a step further, and we're looking for inspired, passionate individuals who reflect our core values. So I'll take you through our values in a moment, just to kind of share with you the type of the mindset of what we're looking for. So we want people who stand out in their field, and we want to provide them with an environment that cultivates that and nourishes that, and that we bring people forward as much as we can in their own career. Just a very brief overview of our own values. So we have 3 core values here, and those are wow, dynamic, and hungry. So I'll just give you a very short synopsis of what that means. So in terms of the wow for us stands for the following. So our grand features are amazing at first glance. That's correct. We know that the property is beautiful, and it's a very iconic property in the Midlands. But our wow runs way deeper than that, much deeper. It's all about the people, and the true delight comes from our people. So that's why we want wow as part of our core values. So dynamic then, meaning that our approach to hospitality is always fresh and natural. Our minds and our arms are wide open, and our warm country welcome is second to none. We like to pride ourselves on our welcome to the guests. Then hungry, so what we're talking about in the industry, it's constantly evolving. Never more so than now have we experienced this level of challenge, and it's kept us on our toes and will continue to do so. And we've experienced the peaks and troughs, and this keeps us focused and driven to succeed. So those are our core values, and you know, on top of, I suppose, your typical skill set or attributes of a leader, that's what we're looking for when we're looking at the person organization fit for this property. So, okay, I suppose if we talk then about the engagement that we had during our lockdown. So we would like to just mention that, you know, key for us is people and making sure that we're connected. And because we're hospitality professionals, it's very difficult for us not to be together. We love to be around each other, and you know, that's where that energy comes from when we're all together. So COVID represented and presented for us many challenges, but staying in touch with our people when we couldn't physically be together was certainly one of them. So because obviously we want to ensure that people feel valued and cared for, it was important for us that when we couldn't be with them to support them, we wanted to be with them in any way we possibly could over the last 5 to 6 months, which has been a really extended lockdown for us. So we spent an extensive amount of time planning, organising and facilitating a calendar of events for our team, which allowed them to connect with us as and when they wanted to. It wasn't obviously compulsory for people to attend, but it was available for them as and when they would like to. A couple of things that we did that worked really well, which connected us virtually while we were apart, was a virtual run to our sister property in Spain. So the participants collectively walked or ran just under 3,000 kilometers over a 30-day period. And it was just a really nice way for us to reach out and keep in touch with people. So, you know, I was inundated with messages and photos from the staff saying, okay, I've done 5K today, and somebody else might text in or send a photo and say, I did my 7K, and you know, other people were out walking with their families or with their children. But it was a lovely, lovely way to remain in touch. We also facilitated a number of fitness classes online. Obviously, we have a state-of-the-art facility downstairs there at the health club. So we utilised that, and obviously we've got a wonderful team of fitness people in there, and they were very kind and generous with their time to help us facilitate connected fitness classes for the team. So we did everything from HIIT sessions for people who like a bit of cardio, all the way through to the Pilates, the yoga, all of that nice, relaxing, restful, I suppose, well-being energy levels, you know, just to keep everybody happy if they wanted to do something a little bit more in keeping with the well-being and the restful piece would look after that. So we did a Zoom scavenger hunt. That was a lot of fun. We did weekly table quizzes, all of these things that were just really interesting for us to do. On top of that, then we did the Jerusalem dance, the darkness into light. So all of these things were done in a socially distanced and safe way, but helped us to connect with people, which was so, so important to us, because you know, it's important that we're part of, you know, their career, regardless of whether we're on site or not. I had to keep reminding people that this is temporary. You know, you're very much part of our heritage family, and just because we're not together now doesn't mean that we can't, you know, link in together. Okay, so I suppose then if we just move forward through COVID and how we hope to emerge from this, I suppose we've taken a lot on board. We've had time to reflect. And I suppose it just brings us back to our purpose, in that we're as focused on the individual's career progression as they are, and it's imperative to us that people feel that and that they see it. So from the senior team right through the building, everybody is on a programme of continuous development, and that's where we partnered with LOETB to be able to do this and facilitate it at, I suppose, one of our most challenging times. So when we're hiring and we're recruiting, we're looking at both static and dynamic fits. So in that sense, we're looking for people who are connected now in that they can come on board and complete the job that we're hiring for now, but have the potential and the desire to develop into larger roles if that's the career path that they choose. So that's something that we're very focused on. It's all about future proofing our business, and that's how we do it. We do it from the recruitment perspective, from the outset, hiring for now and for the future. I believe personally that, you know, from my own research in recent times, I would have looked at talent management in hospitality in particular. And I do feel that HR practitioners have a challenge on their hands now coming out of COVID, and you know, we're in the midst of a really an unbelievable crisis for our industry, you know, but we're so resilient. The people in hospitality are so resilient, and we bounce back, and we've shown that several times throughout last year, and I fully believe that we will bounce back again. My fear, of course, is that we have lost some major talent. You know, a lot of people will have taken this as you know, a setback in their career and reflected and decided to maybe exit the industry altogether, which is awful for us. But I do believe that we can win that back again. I think it's important for each organisation to take ownership now of their talent and to look after their human capital and make sure that, you know, you're developing people and that you're meeting their needs within their own careers, and also making sure that on a holistic level that they're looked after in every respect. You know, it's not just while they're here. How are they managing the work-life balance when they're not here, and do they have resources available to them for that? So yeah, that's something that's very important to us. And then in terms of the leadership piece, how we've managed to do this while we were in lockdown, we liaised with LOETB and have proactively partnered with various trainers so that we were able to facilitate training and development for learners of different levels. So everybody is practically on some program in here at the moment. So we have engaged with level 4 training for a QQI level 4, which is customer service level training for entry level positions, people who are starting out in their career and want to learn more and upskill in customer service and information technology and professional development. And then further on from that, so the supervisory level 6 leadership module. So this is for our team who have, I suppose, stepped up to the next level of supervisor or are just on the cusp of assuming a role at that level. So Anthony Byrne, thankfully, has facilitated this for us from the late March, and it's running over 14 weeks. And we've had a number of guest speakers during that time, one of which was the American Olympic swimmer, Brita Larson. And she was one of our inspirational guest speakers. And this feedback from my team on this course, and all courses to be fair, has been phenomenal. The participants are learning how to create and communicate techniques to prepare for the organisation's future, and learning from experts in this field. So it's just been phenomenal for us. They've also had the additional benefit of 3 additional workshops, which was just fantastic. And again, one of them is on resilience, which is really key at the moment. It's very topical, and it's what we're going to lean on over the next 12 to 18 months as we come out of the other side of this pandemic. So resilience is fantastic to have that as part of the programme. We've had another workshop on assertiveness, and then a final one, the third one then was on time management. So something we can all, reflect on and use as part of our day as things get a little bit crazy in hospitality, especially as we're preparing to reopen now. In addition to all of this, then we will receive at the end of it a full training needs analysis for all of our team members, so we will be able to proactively address any skills gaps and support them in their journey and their development journey, so that they can move on to the next level of training then. And then finally, I suppose I have to mention our lean program. So we're also facilitating a wonderful lean green belt program with Mr. Andy Brophy, who's looking after our HOD level positions. So assistant manager and management positions have selected this course. It's an area of interest for them. I suppose what it covers off is everything that can help improve efficiencies and help people stamp out any kind of waste of time and doing tasks that are not providing any return on investment. So the course is very helpful in designing and delivering key practices on how to lead a lean intervention and how to physically take that learning and implement it within the business and show real tangible results. So it's a fantastic program, and we're really honored to be part of that. And all of this was possible through LOETB, who have supported us hugely and have, helped us with the funding and through the skills to advance. And it's just been a phenomenal opportunity, I suppose, to find a positive in a fairly bleak time. So we've been delighted to hear that.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Jennifer. And it's always fascinating to hear, particularly in the sector, the efforts that the team went to keep their staff engaged as well, throughout it all. In a time of such uncertainty, it's a credit to you all. And again, with all the best organizations, that commitment to training as well. And we hear of Andy Brophy's name mentioned nearly in all these webinars because, I think he was a kind of best kept secret in the Midlands there for a while, but most companies are absolutely trying their best to get hold of the services. But I'm going to take you back to something you touched on very early on, Jennifer. It's your core values. I'm going to put my hand up. I always said we're going to get the usual ones now: integrity and honesty and all this. I have to say, wow, dynamic and hungry. Not what I was expecting, but and refreshing to hear that and to hear you talk about what's behind those. But one participant has asked a question, and I was kind of thinking something similar myself. How do you kind of measure that, and how do you kind of rate people on their performance within those kind of core values?
Well, for us, I suppose the core values are something, it's like anything, you roll it out at induction and people listen and they take it in, but until you actually see it as a living, breathing thing on the floor in our day-to-day interactions with each other. And, we use it as, as part of our daily briefs, as part of our training. Everything is linked into those values, and we measure it by how we see it, how we feel it, and for the feedback that we get from the guests and the team.
Excellent, yeah, and that's something that you're actively monitoring then, I suppose, with feedbacks. A lot of it is having the systems in place. But I suppose when it comes then, a word that was coming there, a phrase was coming to my own head was transferable skills, but actually you touched upon it. You mentioned the dynamic and the static and dynamic fit. In reality, how does that break down? So if you've got a role advertised, is there generally a breakdown? Like, is it 90% static and 10% dynamic, and there's kind of a myth about the transferable skills, or how does it break down in typical recruitment scenario?
Yeah, so I suppose depending on the role that you're recruiting for, you could be blown away by someone coming in straight from school that wasn't, following a typical academic route and wants to come into the property and get a feel for their first job and learning the skills around, say, food and beverage service. But this person, in the right environment with the right coaching and the right training to complement that, could potentially be the deputy manager, the general manager in years to come. You know, maybe not in this property, but maybe in another property. And that's something that we're always conscious of. You know, you'll always have, you know, your pivotal roles. So those roles who, you know, you need to have your clear succession plan in place for. And then the other roles that you have your entry level positions, you have every opportunity to grow those people. If they have the desire to move up, you can absolutely do it if they want to do it.
And over the past year as well, and I mean, you can give this kind of maybe an industry-wide perspective on this, but there has been talks of that talent drain as well. Is that primarily down at kind of, say, hospitality kind of sector levels, or has there been a management? Because again, by what you've just said, you're training a lot of senior people up with, you know, lean skills, with customer service skills, all of which are equally transferable to other sectors as well. Where is the biggest challenge emerging at this point?
I suppose from speaking to my colleagues in the industry, recruitment of operational level people is incredibly challenging right now. We're very fortunate, thankfully, here at the Heritage. You know, we've had minimal loss, and not zero. Unfortunately, we have lost some of our talent, and that's always upsetting, you know, because that's the last thing you want to have happen. But yes, we've got from what I'm hearing in the industry, there are a lot of challenges with recruitment of operational level positions. And I think it's because, to be fair, the industry, I know everybody suffered through COVID, but our industry, I feel, has really taken it a little bit further in that our skills are very transferable to other industries. So we have a great training ground for people, but that's easily transferable to another industry. So I do believe we need to work on that.
But as you said yourself, though, you kind of think as well, you will get people back in time, maybe, because I think, again, sometimes if somebody is destined to be in that sector, maybe, you know, a little while away, it might just make them realize that. But I'm going to invite Pedro back in, and Pedro, if I could, I'd like just to get your opinion or your commentary on those core values. I hope you were listening now, that Jennifer spoke about.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I'll tell you what we do. We actually measure the what and we measure the how.
Mm-hmm.
So you get your objectives, and you know, what do you achieve? I got this, I got that, I got that. You know, great. That's a letter or a number, and then we measure the how, which is aligned to our values. We ask employees to share examples, specific examples that demonstrate how they have lived up to those values that we encourage people to display in order to achieve a good customer care, but also achieve our purpose as an organization. And at the end of that performance management review, you get a score, which is determined 50% on the what and 50% on the how, and we actually give you a letter and a number. The number is for the what and the letter is for the how. The reason for giving a letter and a number, and some people might say that's complicating things. I probably agree with you. I think the fear I have is that if you just give an overall score, people will always focus more on the what than the how. And we are not ready for that. So I would encourage people that if you really want to embed your values, as Jennifer was saying, is that, as she said, from the moment you hire to the way you develop people, all the development has to align to your values, and then the way you manage performance and reward performance or promote people has to also be aligned to those values. And I would, measurement for me is the best way. You get what you measure, and that's what we're trying to do. It's not perfect, but we're getting there.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, if you've no system at all, then it's, you know, if you've no measurement, then it's very hard to put that. And even like Jennifer also touched on things like that kind of CSR piece as well, and that piece of outside of work. And I guess, Pedro, you spoke as well about the importance of, you know, how we manage our lifestyles outside of, and you know, terms like corporate athletes come in. Yeah. Maybe the past year potentially has really opened people's eyes to that health and wellness piece, and maybe how time is best spent. So it almost sounds like really the role of the organizational leadership developer, or even you know, an external coach, is actually nearly maybe not so much focused on the actual organization, but on the person's life outside it. Like, are we seeing, how do we kind of go about doing that without maybe blurring that boundary between life, work? Well, I suppose somebody once said to me, it's not really about work-life balance, it's just about that equilibrium overall, or blend. So is performance and leadership coaching then changing to meet that new requirement?
Yeah, I don't know, but I encourage people to bring their whole themselves to work. you know, this old style of thinking to say that you can leave your house behind, and it doesn't work. We're human beings. So, you know, I think as an employer, we just have to allow people be themselves and be their whole self. What I would say is that the same way that an organization has responsibility to make sure that the leaders have the right impact on their people, that we have the right supports, the assistance programs, I personally believe that a lot of this starts with the individual. So the individual has to take personal accountability for their well-being, their resilience, their mindset, all of that stuff. Now, if you're already in a bad place, I know that doesn't apply to you. But what I would say to you, I think what I see it working best is where you have people personally taking accountability to make it work. And when it's not working, then they come to us and they say, hey, Pedro, I'm struggling with assertiveness, or I'm struggling with saying no to my boss, or I'm getting too much work and I'm becoming overwhelmed with the amount of work. Then is the organizational responsibility to say, okay, let's tone down the objectives, let's reshape it, let's work with you, let's give you a coach, let's provide those supports. I think when people tell you what they need and what they want, is easier to give it to them. I think the harder part is when somebody comes to you and says, Ronan, I hate my job, I hate my work, I hate this. And it's like, okay, where do you go from there? You know, that's a tough place.
Which I suppose, and it can happen too as well. But I suppose that it's at the basis of even HR and employment law that, like, you know, if somebody expresses a problem, you're obliged to actually look at it and put proper procedures in place and hopefully bring it out. But very conscious of the time, Pedro, thank you so much. And Jennifer as well. I'm going to invite Aideen Poole back in because LOETB have some leadership courses that are currently available too. So Aideen is going to give us an overview of those.
Perfect. Thanks a million, Ronan. And it was really great for us to hear from Jennifer and how, I suppose, on the other side, like, you know, we coordinate these programs, and I suppose that's the core of what we do. It's for enterprise support and in any way we can. And I suppose training has been huge over the last couple of months for different organizations within the region. So it's been great for us to be able to organize and coordinate this, but to actually see in practice how it works and how the staff are benefiting from it and how it's impacting the organization in a positive way is really great. So Jennifer touched on a few of the courses, which is the leadership, the supervisory management, the lean as well. So we're currently recruiting kind of for the rest of the year really for programs, and I did pop that link in the chat. So these are the kind of programs that we do organise. So we're doing them at the minute kind of on an individual basis if you'd like to apply yourself. But like our work with Jennifer and the Heritage, we do work directly with employers that we can organise a kind of bespoke programme specific to the organisation. Jennifer also mentioned how we had Bria Larson on and a couple of different guest speakers. And I suppose that's kind of something that we do to make each QQI module that we deliver more adaptable and more specific to each organisation we work with. So, you know, you could be doing this through, like the leadership, we're doing psychometric testing as part of that as kind of an add-on. With customer service, we do one-to-one sessions with your tutors. With digital marketing, we do kind of, you get the consultation time with your tutor to help develop a marketing strategy specific to yourself and the organisation in which you work in. So I suppose it's all that add-on little bits to kind of provide that bit of extra quality to the programs, but also deliverables in your organisation then when you feed that back. So I suppose obviously if anyone wanted to apply through the form, that's no problem, but we're open to communications afterwards if anyone was interested in working, I suppose, with us as a company. But just to say thanks very much for today, Pedro and Jennifer, you were brilliant. Thanks a million.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Super. Thanks, Aideen. And again, just once again, thanks to Pedro and to Jennifer as well. Great response there from people as well. Feedback is brilliant. Of course, the video will be available for people to dial back in on. Again, share it around, show people there's some kind of key lessons. And I think it's always so refreshing and inspiring to see like someone like Jennifer talk about what their sector and their business is doing, that, you know, you might have the wrong idea about what may be happening in a sector, and often it's far from that. It's the other side of it. So that's it from myself and everybody at LOETB. We are going to take a break from the webinars, such as the time of year. I think summertime is coming. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but I think you're finding now already people are so busy. People are beginning to cover for people who are either using up annual leave or who are actually taking some time off. So we're going to kind of pause the series for now. It has been resounding success. I think full credit goes to the team there in LOETB and to Anthony and everybody for just pulling together, for having, you know, for hassling and for, you know, getting on board so many fantastic speakers. It's been a pleasure to play a role in that, and we look forward maybe to it resuming later in the year. So on behalf of us all, let's say goodbye and thank you very much. Tell your friends, tell them all, and might see you later in the year. Bye everybody.